Hello, guys, and welcome to Odds on Bundesliga 17th match day. Radek, we had a lot of fun in the first game after the World Cup and the winter break. A lot of goals. We also watched a good Leipzig Bayern Munich, a draw, but especially a lot of goals in this Bundesliga.
Yes, and I thought maybe it was one of the most goals in one game day, but not at all. The most games in one Bundesliga game day were in 1983-84, and there have been more than 50 games in one game day. But anyway, it was a really, really great start in the year, and let's keep on going. And I'm very confident that we find really good bets today, as there are really interesting games and odds.
Only two teams weren't able to score, Schalke and Freiburg, but we saw a lot of goals, as you've mentioned. So, guys, remember to comment with us this Bundesliga. Of course, if you enjoy the videos, if you like us, just press the like and subscribe. And now let's go on with the show. And we start on Friday. Schalke Leipzig, one of the teams that weren't able to score a single goal. Schalke, this is not news for us because they are very bad, of course. Losing 3-0 against Frankfurt, and now they have another tough game against Leipzig. I think we all expect a great Leipzig in this 2023. They were underperforming clearly at the beginning of the season, and they have also Radek to win away. Only 2 victories when they are playing away this season. This 1.6 odds looks good to me, actually.
Yeah, and the most people in the community think that this is one of the best, if not the best bet on the game day, betting on Leipzig. Because everything you said, Schalke is really, really in trouble, and the only thing can be that we face another Leipzig, away problem, as they had in a lot of games. But I think this changed all when Marco Rose arrived at Leipzig as new coach. I think he's the perfect coach for them. He had great jobs at Gladbach and also at Dortmund, and I think, for Leipzig, he's perfect, and he can do the best out of it. And remember, they draw against Bayern Munich, which is also a brilliant result to start in this year. So anything else than a clear Leipzig win would be a huge surprise. So we have different options here. The first one is just easy betting on a 3-way win on Leipzig. We get odds of 1.6. Not awesome, a bit dangerous, but still great enough if we consider that Schalke is not worth anything. And another interesting bet is on the only Leipzig goal market. If you want to bet on Leipzig over 1.5 goals, you get also odds of 1.6 or something. And this should be also a really good thing, that Leipzig is able to score twice against one of the worst defenses in the league. But to be honest, my favorite bet is another one, because I always have a look at the Asian handicap market and the betting line with odds around 2.0, where you can just double your money. And we get the odds line at Asian handicap -1 on Leipzig. That means if they win with 1 goal in advantage, you get your money back. But if they win with 2 goals or more, you win the bet clearly with higher odds, and the odds for that are 1.9 around.
Great. Brendan is telling us I need to see more from Leipzig. I don't know why, to be honest. Me too. I think it's for the reason Radek explained with the new manager. They look much better. They have to qualify for the Champions League spots. Ankur is going for Leipzig to win and under 3.5 goals. And another market that could be interesting to check, Radek, is the first time the result at halftime. Amir Hossein told us that in the previous match day, we saw at least one goal in every single game in the Bundesliga. You mentioned actually that market in our previous video, and perhaps could be also a good idea to try to find the higher odds, for instance, in the next game. Always hard to find good odds when Bayern are playing at home. Bayern Cologne, you mentioned that draw against Leipzig. Remember that there is no Neuer in for Bayern. He had a ski accident, and now Jan Sommer is the replacement, and they are gonna face Cologne, beating 7-1, able to score 7 goals against Werder Bremen, and before they were in a 5 games without winning a streak. This is the things of Bundesliga.
Yes, but we had a long break, and I think some teams, are better now after this break than before, and Cologne seems to be one of them. While Bremen, I think they just had a winter sleep, and so that's why they conceded 7 goals against Cologne. That doesn't mean that Cologne is now better than before. It's just one game. We don't know much about it, but one thing should be kind of a really good, attractive bet here, that a team who is able to score 7 goals against another Bundesliga team should be able also to score at least 1 goal against Bayern Munich. And so we come to a interesting both teams to score bet with odds of 1.7 almost. And this is by far the best bet you can find here, because betting on Bayern Munich win is ridiculous low, and never a good idea to bet on such small odds, even if it's Bayern Munich, and I really don't like it. And so it's not better to play on Asian handicap with higher risk, or combining this with another thing. So I would just concentrate on one single event, and this event with both teams to score is also a hidden Ecker, because you need 2 events to be real, that Bayern Munich scores goals and Cologne scores goals, but that's better than betting on smaller odds like Bayern Munich, or even the Bayern Munich combined with both teams to score, or something like that.
All right, our community actually, they are going also for both teams to score and Bayern de Munich to win, as Brendan is saying, as Murat is telling us. Also, we had Chris going for Bayern to win, of course, and our friend Marco, always with us, also going for Bayern de Munich to win and both teams to score. Next game, all these games are going to be played on Tuesday evening in freezing Germany, I'm completely sure. Also in the capital, in Berlin, Hertha Wolfsburg, important game for Hertha, penultimate now in the standing. So in spots to go directly to Bundesliga 2, they lost against Bochum, 3-1, 4 defeats in the last 5. So awful when they travel, especially because at home, only 1 defeat in the last 6 and was against Bayern, so they are way better at home, Radek, but they are playing a team that is really informed, like Wolfsburg, apart from scoring 6 against Freiburg, a team that is always known for the good defense. They've won the last 5 Bundesliga games.
Yes, awesome form of Wolfsburg here. And yeah, it's really cold in Germany. We have a lot of snow here, and even for South Bavaria, where we often have snow, and the last year, this is special now. And I expected, if the temperature goes down, the goals also go down, but we see the complete opposite in the first game day. So if it's cold, the keepers also might be frozen, and that's good for a lot of goals. Maybe also in this game, where, to be honest, I don't like the goal market really much in this game. But as you said, everything, Wolfsburg is great in shape, and we should bet on the trend, as the odds on Wolfsburg are really high, and I don't understand why, as Hertha, lost their first game in the year against Bochum and now is on position 17. There are really not a lot of good reasons to have fear out of Hertha. And the odds on Wolfsburg are great. One option is just betting on Asian Handicap 0 on Wolfsburg. We get odds of 1.7. To make it more interesting, I also would suggest Asian Handicap -1 here on Wolfsburg, as who scores 6-0 against Freiburg should be able to win with 2 goals in advantage against Hertha. And let's ride the Wolfsburg trend and bet for Asian Handicap -1 on Wolfsburg. We get odds of 3.55 or even more if you are able to bet at Pinnacle, which is not available for German customers, unfortunately. But if you're in a country where Pinnacle is available, this is the good source for you. But Bet365 is available in every country around the world, I think.
Indeed, the good thing is that if you go to Oddspedia, no matter where you are, you will see only bookmakers that are allowed in your country, that are legal in your country. So you will see the higher odds available for you. And most of the people are going for Wolfsburg to win, as you were saying, or for an over for Wolfsburg in the goals, at least to score 2 goals. For Wolfsburg, it's going to be cold in Berlin, but not that much. I was checking around 0 degrees at the time of the kickoff. So could be worse, I guess. Next game, interesting one for the relegation battle. Hoffenheim is Stuttgart. Hoffenheim, one of the teams that were doing great at the beginning of the season, but now they are awful. They lost to Union Berlin, 4 straight defeats, 1 victory in the last 10 games. So as I said, they are absolutely awful, but they are playing against Stuttgart, a team that when they are playing away, they struggle. 4 consecutive defeats, and the last time they got a point when they were playing away, Radek, was in Munich playing against Bayern.
Yeah, this was a 2-2, and I don't know how they managed to do that. The problem with Hoffenheim I have is because Heim means home in Germany. And that's why it's a kind of a psychological trap, as you might think Hoffenheim is good playing at home, but it's not the case in this season. They are only number 15 in the home standings. That can be a problem, but I'm not really impressed of Stuttgart in the first game against Mainz. They had some problems at the 1-1, and it was the first game of their new coach Bruno Labbadia, who is kind of an average German coach, and I don't expect to be a real improvement in Stuttgart, because I thought Matarazzo was the brilliant, perfect coach for Stuttgart, but they fired him after a bad streak. But they also had personal problems, and that's not only the fault of the coach. So I think Stuttgart was really, really stupid to fire their coach, and now they have the soup with Bruno Labbadia. So they deserve, to lose here in my eyes. And Hoffenheim will strike back, because if you have a look at the Hoffenheim squad, they're way better. The players are way better than Stuttgart is, and even if they had some bad games at the end of 2022, the game against Union Berlin was not that clear. They were leading till minute 72 or something, and then they gave it away, because playing at Union Berlin is kind of hard. Complete different thing than playing at home against a weak team like Stuttgart. So I expect Hoffenheim to win this game. The odds of 2.25 are good, and I go for that.
Stuttgart no wins when they are playing away yet this season. I remember, I think last season they were very good when they are playing away. It's not the case this season, and most of our friends, Radek, they are going for both teams to score, and I was checking the stats that we have in the Bundesliga page for both teams to score, and we've seen 10 times out of the 16 games for Hoffenheim hitting both teams to score, 63% of their games, whereas for Stuttgart, 69% of their games, only one more, 11. So it's not that clear, let's say, if we check the stats that we see both teams to score. For Radek, is better going for the home team. And on Wednesday, we start with Mainz Dortmund. Dortmund is struggling to win the first game after the break. They took the lead 4 times to beat Augsburg. And remember that they struggle a lot when they are playing away. 5 defeats in the last 6 away games. They were only able to win in Frankfurt. And they are playing against Mainz, a team that drew against Stuttgart, also against Frankfurt. The odds for Dortmund to win, I don't know if we should follow them, are very high, actually, 2.4.
Yeah, but you said everything what the problem is with Dortmund. A team who concedes 3 goals against Augsburg at home is really in trouble. And that they won this game, I think, is a really not a great achievement, because everyone expected that, and they were 1.3 favorite in this game. And at the end, they had so much problems with a team who might be relegated after this year. And okay, Augsburg is not that bad, really, as they might seem in the standings. We come to them in the next game. But playing at Mainz can be kind of hard. And yeah, you said it, that 5 out of the 6 last games Dortmund was losing away. They are really horrible, and they are, as they used to be one of the best teams in the league, but away they might have some issues, like a lot of teams had in the past, like Leipzig maybe, and also Stuttgart, really bad away teams. And so betting on Dortmund seems very attractive at odds of 2.4, but after conceding 3 goals against Augsburg and the away stats, which are horrible, you can't trust them anymore. And I don't really care. Maybe they win now in this situation, but I really don't like them. And I wish Mainz the best. So the only thing here could be a bet on a draw with 3.7. But at the end, we all are kind of favorite bettors, aren't we? And if a team like Dortmund has odds of 2.3 or 2.4, it's really almost impossible to ignore. And I understand everyone who says this is a value bet, because Mainz has been really bad in the last games too. So yeah, if Dortmund can get back in the track, maybe it's just a 2-1 or something like that, but nothing special.
Tough one. Actually, I will follow Brendan's advice that this game is a trap. This is the last game in the world I would add to Anaka. I think he's spot on, actually.
Completely my opinion. And if you have a look, I had the same consideration when I put my Aka together, and I was thinking, oh yeah, Dortmund should be a winner here. But then I told myself, no, just let your hands off this game, and so we find better options on this game day.
Mm-hmm. Especially when Dortmund, they are playing away, they concede a lot of goals, or even when they are playing at home. For instance, Amir Hossein is saying if perhaps for Anaka double chance for Dortmund X2, that could be another option. Should pay around 1.5, something like this. If you want to add it to your Aka. Dortmund struggling when they were playing at home against Augsburg. They were able to win. Augsburg, they are in bad spots, actually, because they got only 3 points in the last 8 Bundesliga games. They lost even at home against Bochum, and they are playing against Gladbach, a team that also lost against Leverkusen. The common thing between these two teams lately, goals. Basically, they are not getting victories, but we see a lot of goals.
Yes, and these 2 teams are one of the most unpredictable teams in the league, as we see Augsburg beating or competing against the best teams in the league, as they are a top team, and being on position 15 is not a thing I understand, as they were the only team beating Bayern Munich at home, and only loss of Bayern Munich was at Augsburg this season. Very home strong, you might think. And they also had a 3-3 against Leipzig, where they were leading 3-1 a long time in the game. And how can a team like that be on position 15? And then they also scored 3 goals at Dortmund. And yeah, I think Augsburg has a lot of potential someday. And on the most days, they are not motivated against weaker opponents. But maybe the luck is that they're now playing against a really great name. And I say great name because they're not a great team, but Mönchengladbach is a great name. They are good at home, but not so good as we see when they're playing away. 0 victories on away pitches for Gladbach. And that leads to a bet that Gladbach is not winning this game at Augsburg. And we have a look at the Asian handicap market. We can bet on Augsburg Asian handicap plus 0.25. We get odds of 1.9 at Pinnacle. But this is also not a really good bet. As to be honest, I think it's just a draw here with few goals maybe. But I don't bet on the goals, but I like the odds on a draw with 3.7, or depends on where you bet, maybe only 3.5 or 3.6. Or it's
Is the team with
is also right, yeah.
Gladbach is the team with more over 2.5 goals in the Bundesliga, 12 games, together with Leverkusen or Bochum. The 12 times out of 16 games, their games ended over 2.5 goals together, as I mentioned, with Leverkusen Bochum. That leads us to the next game. Actually, Leverkusen Bochum, perhaps you want to bet on an over for this game. Two teams that are actually in a good form right now, 4 consecutive victories for this new Xabi Alonso's Leverkusen, and Bochum. This is new to our eyes, Radek, because they are out of the bottom 3. This is almost a miracle. 3 straight victories, and we see at the beginning of this year Bochum away from relegation.
Yeah, and how did they do it? Just a very, very effective new coach who I personally didn't know before, Lesch. And they are basically really, really great at home. It's the same thing we saw last season when Bochum at home was beating Bayern Munich with 4 goals. Just imagine that. And so they also made points against Dortmund and Leipzig at home. So their strength is for sure at home. In Leverkusen, I don't see really big chances for them. As you said, Leverkusen improved over the winter break. But the odds on Leverkusen are ridiculous low, as Bochum also won the last 3 games. It would be not clever to bet on a low Leverkusen odd here, and at the end it would be kind of luck. The draw with 5.2 seems to be attractive because the odds are so high. But if you have such a clear favorite, I would just take the hands off if I don't think that they might lose or they will be in a troubling situation. And betting on Leverkusen Asian handicap, for sure, Asian handicap -1 would be better than the line, because at the end, if they win just with 1 goal, what I expect more than a clear win, then you get your money back. But I don't really like to bet on getting my money back for such a high risk, only winning 70 or 80% of my money.
Okay, Brendan is suggesting Leverkusen halftime, full time, or Edlo is going for Miniaka, Leverkusen to win and over. 2.5 goals. We have 2 more games in this Bundesliga match day in the middle of the week. The next one is a good one. Freiburg, Frankfurt, important for the Champions League spots. Both, they have exactly the same points, 30. Freiburg coming from a 6-0 defeat in Wolfsburg, but when they play at home, they are way stronger, 4 consecutive victories. And Frankfurt now second in the standings, doing a great season, both in the Bundesliga and in Europe. Last season, they were only good in Europe. This season also, they are good when they are playing in Germany.
Yeah, yes, and I love it because I didn't expect Frankfurt to be that good, and that this is mostly an achievement of their absolutely amazing coach. And I got goosebumps if I think about Oliver Glasner, not because I'm into man, just because I think he's one of the best coaches in the world. You have to watch what he's done with all his clubs, taking over a really bad or average club like Wolfsburg, guiding them to the Champions League. And now he did the same with Frankfurt. And now Frankfurt competing with Bayern Munich maybe for the championship would be a really, really awesome Cinderella story. And everyone loves Frankfurt in Germany. I think after they had such great Europe games in the last years and even won the Europe League last year. So yeah, Frankfurt in a brilliant run, and you can't say this about Freiburg. Another great team with a great coach, and they don't deserve beaten that high against Wolfsburg. And remember, they also lost very high with 5 goals against Bayern Munich. So 11 goals they conceded against 2 teams in 2 games. And after all, Freiburg is really, really a good home team. So it would be hard for Frankfurt to win at Freiburg. And as you see, the bookmakers expect the same, as we have balanced odds with 2.6 on the one side, 2.8 on the other side. And at the end, I think they are both happy with the draw. Freiburg, after their horrible loss, everything they can expect is a point against a really good team like Frankfurt. And Frankfurt is not, does not have to push it to the fullest to win this game. And the first game of Frankfurt in this season or in this year was not that brilliant. They had really big problems against Schalke. So I think we shouldn't overrate Frankfurt and shouldn't underrate Freiburg. At the end, a draw is the best option. 3.7, really, really great odds.
Marco is going for a draw, actually a super draw, going for draw at halftime and at full time. And also we have Brendan, Psycho, Ezio going for both teams to score. We saw it before in the screen and was 1.69 for both teams to score. Freiburg only 1 draw and 1 defeat at home this season. They've won all the other games. And as you mentioned, Frankfurt, they won 3-0 against Schalke, but 2 of the goals arrived in the last minutes of the game. Draw and draw, as we can see there in Bet Victor, for instance, is 6.0. Good odds, of course, 6.0. And the last game, Radek, Werder Bremen, Union Berlin, 2 teams. Well, Werder Bremen especially, they are coming in a really bad form. Of course, they lost 7-1 to Cologne, 3 straight defeats for them. They cannot relax because they are only 6 points away from the playoff spots going to Bundesliga 2. And Union Berlin, they got an important victory against Hoffenheim, but they've been awful when they are playing away. 4 defeats in the last 5 games. Also a tough one, another tough one, as we can see in the odds.
Yes, and I really have to break myself a bit because not to get too optimistic about this Union Berlin odd, as Bremen, as you said, lost with 7 goals against them. So we don't have to make it difficult here, as a team who got 7 goals should not be any kind of equal to a team who is third in the standings, like Union Berlin. And no matter that they've lost 4 games in away game, we have to look against which teams they lost away. And I know that Union Berlin is a way better home team, but they lost at Freiburg and Leverkusen and okay, Bochum, but also they lost at Frankfurt. And so these are really, really good teams. And okay, Freiburg had problems in the last game. Anyway, so the odds on Union Berlin are really, really too high, as Bremen just seems to, I don't know what they did against Cologne.
Nothing.
And they don't deserve a point here. And Union Berlin, the safe bet here is Union Berlin, Asian Handicap 0. We get odds of 1.8. But I analyzed all of my picks I gave in this show in this year. And I always betted on Asian Handicap 0 not to lose money. But in the same situation, if I would have betted on Asian Handicap -1 every time, I would have won almost the same bets. And that's why in this situation, I go large and I go on Asian Handicap -1 on Union Berlin. And we get also 4.2 or 4.4 around. And Marco also says the same, yeah. And even if Union Berlin is not winning the game, so yeah, we didn't make a mistake. So you can't just ignore the bad form of Bremen in the last game.
All right, if you want to win big, you have lovely odds, as we can see right now in the screen, for Union Berlin, Asian Handicap -1, 4.7. So if they win 0-2, for instance, 0-2, you get these great odds for you. Also, most of the people are going for both teams to score as well in this game. Last week, we saw a lot of both teams to score. So they want to repeat the story. Well, Radek, good bets, good odds we found in this match day. Let's hope we see lots of goals as well in this new Bundesliga match day, number 17th. Among all of them, Radek, tell me, which one is your favorite bet for this match day?
Yeah, Wolfsburg against Hertha. Wolfsburg Asian Handicap -1, and if you want to be a bit safe, Asian Handicap 0. So why should Wolfsburg, who won about 5 games in a row, now lose at a really, really bad team like Hertha? So this seems like a really good bet.
All right, and Yoraka?
Yes, and now, as I told you, that I would have won a lot more money with Asian Handicap -1. I will combine 3 Asian Handicap -1 games. So the motto is go large or go home, and we will bet on Wolfsburg -1, Asian Handicap -1, Leipzig Asian Handicap -1, and Union Berlin Asian Handicap -1. So we get odds of 36, and I would bet just a really small amount of money for sure, but at the end, this can pay off in one of 10 cases, and so we make profit at the end of the season. And this is the story of sports betting. You can lose some bets, but if you win at the end a big amount someday, then it pays off.
Good luck. This is the face that we all have, seeing the odds like Brendan's emoticons. The good thing is that on Thursday we can check it out, and perhaps we've been lucky to cash these really high odds for your ACA, because on Thursday we will be back with more Bundesliga. These are midweek games. We still have the weekend games. Radek, thanks for your tips, and thanks everyone for watching, of course. Just press the like, please. Press the like and subscribe. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.